So in this third video, we're going to look at sowing the seed that we collected from the wildflowers and then stored, or maybe you're using it straight away this season. So we're going to look at two different ways. You can either sow your seed into trays, and this works really well if your seed is very small, individual seeds, or you can sow into these plug cells. Now these have the advantage of being quite long, so you get a good amount of root, and from these the plug plants can go straight out into the meadow. With the trays, we're producing little tiny plants, and then we're going to pot them on and keep them a bit longer. So we start off just by filling the tray. We're just going to use the trays with compost. We always use a peat-free compost, not only because it's better for the environment, but also because it tends to be a bit lower in nutrients. And remember that all these wildflower species do better in low nutrient situations. So I'm just filling the tray up, not to the top, but about 3/4 full. This is peat-free potting compost. If you can't find that and you're using a peat-free general compost, you might have to pick out a few of the bigger pieces if you're working with a species with very small seeds. So there, that's about ready. And next we'll put some seeds on top. Okay, so we have our meadow seed species, which are stored in our airtight jar with a silica gel at the bottom to keep it dry. These are meadow vetchling seeds, and we're going to sow them in this tray here. We're just going to sprinkle the seeds on the surface of the compost, which we firmed lightly with the back of the hand. Is quite easy. With seeds this size, you could also use the seed cells. These seeds are nice and big, so you can see what I'm doing. And the advantage of the cells is that you don't have to pot on from the seed tray into a bigger pot before planting out. But this gives you a good idea of how many go into a tray. And the trays are really, really good when you're working with a species with tiny seeds, something like the Great Bonnet or Meadow Sweet. So once we've got the seed in the tray or in the seed cells, well, I'm just going to tap a little tiny bit of compost on top. Have to remember, we don't want to bury these seeds in the compost. In a natural situation of a hay meadow, the seed would drop onto the ground, and it's with that contact with the soil, but also access to light, which allows the seeds to germinate. So this is just a really, really light dusting. So we've got the seeds in the tray, just a very light tamping down. You can still see they're on the surface. And now we're going to put some gravel on top. This is a limestone gravel. It still allows access of the light to the seed, but just stops the seeds being visible and eaten by small mammals or slugs or snails. So it just gives them a little bit of protection. It also stops mosses and liverworts growing on the surface of the compost. So yeah, it gives the seeds the best fighting chance. Okay, so once we've got the species in the tray and the compost and the gravel on top, we're just going to label it up. So this is Meadow Vetchling. And then I'm just going to put the date that we sowed it. Okay, that goes in there. So now we've got the seed in the tray with nicely labelled up and with the gravel on top. This needs to go outside, not in a greenhouse, just outside is fine. And if you give it a sprinkle with water when you first put it outside and keep it just damp, you will be looking for signs of seedlings coming up before Christmas, and if not, then around March time the following year. So here we have a tray of Great Bunnet, which I sowed about this time last year in a seed tray, and it's just been sitting outside since then. As you can see, the seedlings are quite small, and some of them haven't grown very big at all or very quickly. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pot on the individual plants into their own pots, and then they'll have more space and more soil available to grow a larger ball of roots, and that will mean that these should be ready to go out into the meadows in about 6 months' time. So once you've potted on all your small meadow seedlings, make sure that you put the labels back in so you remember which species it is and when it was sown, not when it was potted on. These need to go back outside, and they'll be ready to plant out into the meadow once you can see the roots coming out the bottom of the pots. So in our next video, we're going to take a look at how to plant the plug plants out into a meadow.